So today we're going to be checking out the new exciting Versace Eros EDP. So this is a true EDP flanker to the original Versace Eros Eau de Toilette. Of course, we saw Versace Eros Flame, which is an EDP, but that one goes in a different direction than the original Versace Eros EDT. So as soon as I saw word of this one and I saw pictures of the bottle starting to float around, I got pretty excited because, as I'm sure you're aware, Versace Eros has been reformulated. I'm sure you probably know that. I doubt you've seen any of the thousands of comments that are floating all around, and every time I mention Versace Eros, I get, a quarter of those 1,000 comments on my video saying that Eros has been reformulated, which I'm not disagreeing with you there. So it's cool to see that they have released an EDP version. Today we're going to be checking this one out. I'm going to tell you how it smells, how it performs, when you can wear it, and ultimately if I think it's worth picking up and how it compares to the original Eros. And it's funny too because Versace has never really been too flanker crazy. I mean, we have the original Versace Man and then Versace Man Eau Fraiche, which that's the only flanker currently, and that was released quite a while after, and there hasn't been anything since then. We had the original Versace Pour Homme, which was released for quite a while until Versace Dylan Blue was released. We had the original Eros for a while until Flame was released. So they were never pumping out flankers like crazy like some other designer brands, but it's kind of starting to look as though they may be picking up on the flankers a little bit. They see the wild success of all these other big brands pumping out flankers all the time, so they're kind of getting their piece of the pie here with this one. So I'm hoping that they don't go too crazy with it and just start pushing out crap multiple times a year, every year, like some other brands. I always have respected Versace fragrances for really kind of putting out something every now and then, and every release seems to be really solid, especially for mid-range designers. So I guess we'll have to see what direction they go. But enough talking, let's go ahead and jump right into how this fragrance smells. Now when you first spray this one on, what you'll notice is that, yeah, it smells quite a bit like Versace Eros EDT. Record outside, they said. It would be fun, they said. So when you first spray this one on, you'll notice that, yes, right away, you get a Versace EDT smelling scent. For me, when I spray it on, immediately I'm getting that mint opening. I'm also getting lemon. The lemon almost comes across as though it could be lime as well. Like you actually, at least for me, I pick up on that lemon note quite a bit right in the opening of this one, which I don't really remember getting all that much of from the EDT. So it's minty, it's a bit lemony, and of course you get that classic vanilla note. That mint and vanilla combination is what made Versace Eros so popular, and it's just kind of overall somewhat fun, playful, youthful type of scent, and this one of course maintains that type of smell. Of course, working into the dry down, the vanilla is still going to be one of the main players here. It's mostly a fresh, spicy, aromatic type of scent here, and again it's sticking to a lot of that original DNA. So this is one of those scents where if you don't like the original Versace Eros, you're not going to like this one either. That just is how it's going to be here because it's not really anything that smells different. Versace Eros Flame maybe would cater to a different audience if you weren't a fan of the original and you wanted to get a flanker that differentiates a little bit. Flame would be a good way to go. I've always still preferred the original Eros, and with this Eros EDP, I prefer this one over Flame as well. And this is honestly a pretty well done flanker in my opinion. It's a really solid EDP release. That's all it is here, is they've taken the original EDT DNA and beefed it up. They've just given it more performance. They've given it that strength that they once took away from the original Eros, as you guys I'm sure have heard, in its prime back in the day. It was a club banging, super strong scent. And even my 2017 bottle, which I have, is a very, very strong scent. So I don't know when exactly the reformulation occurred. I want to say probably 2018, maybe 2019. I don't know for sure. But again, my bottle's very strong, and I've never had any issues with performance. But again, at this point, that was 3 years ago. So it's just kind of annoying because you know that they're doing this on purpose. It's not like they had to cut back on any ingredients, which would weaken the fragrance because, well, look what we have here. We have a new strong version of that scent. So it's not like they were cutting back for IFRA regulations or anything. More likely than not, and again, I don't have any insider information, but it kind of looks to me like they were cutting back for, reasons to maximize their profit and so on. And that's nothing new. It happens all the time. Sometimes it is due to IFRA regulations. It's getting more strict and more strict every year pretty much. So companies do have to tweak the formula, tweak the ingredients to dial the scents back. And a lot of times if they can't source a new ingredient or, it really messes the scent up, they have to discontinue it. That happens, and I get that. But it is funny when you see them slowly over the years dialing back the performance and the strength of the scent, and then boom, out comes an EDP release with full strength again. Just kind of makes you scratch your head. But with that being said, this fragrance is very strong. And at first I was a little bit wary of how strong it was when I was testing it. And what I found for this one is that it doesn't quite have the super monstrous projection that my EDT has, and that's coming down to the fact that this is an EDP, the original is an EDT, and normally eau de toilette concentration fragrances are going to pop off and radiate off the skin a lot stronger than like EDPs and Parfums. And of course, that's not always the case. There's a lot of EDPs and a lot of straight Parfum concentration fragrances, which are monstrous room fillers. But for me, on my skin, just how it works with my skin chemistry, I find this one to be a little bit more dialed back in projection. However, it is still a strong projecting scent. 2 sprays, I was smelling it on myself for hours. I would say it was projecting for probably 5 to 6 hours, which I found to be pretty solid. I wasn't having to, spray it on my hand and bring it up to smell it. I had a spray on my hand. I had a couple sprays on my neck, so about 3 sprays total when I was testing it, and I was smelling myself for a long time. Again, if I had to guess, it's probably around 6 or so hours of projection. So where this fragrance may make up for the kind of somewhat lack of projection in comparison to the EDT is its longevity. This stuff is a very long-lasting scent, and again, this surprised me. On my skin, I was getting, on average, believe it or not, about 10 plus hours on skin. Now, on clothing, it will last even longer, and to give you an example, I wore this fragrance again last night, just kind of my final wearing to prepare for this video today. I sprayed it on, I applied it on my neck, and I actually had this hoodie on. When I went and picked this hoodie up today, I smelled it and I could still smell Eros. And when I put this on, it was projecting. Like, I was still like, okay, I smell Eros, but I haven't sprayed it today. I took a shower and then I realized, like, oh, it's still on this hoodie. So I put this back on just because I was going to be shooting this video anyway, and I was still able to smell it projecting off this hoodie, and that was almost a full day later. That's pretty impressive. So again, while the performance may be a little bit lackluster compared to the EDT, especially back in its prime, the longevity is really solid. And again, from a designer, 10 plus hours longevity and about 6 hours of moderate projection is really good. So I don't want to mislead you and say that the projection is bad, because it's not. Like I said, 6 hours of moderate projection, that's really good. I just want you to keep in mind that, at least on my skin, it doesn't have that same room-filling, punch off my skin like the EDT. And again, a lot of that probably does come down to the concentration of the fragrance, and it also could be a skin chemistry thing too. Remember, this is still a young, juvenile-smelling fragrance here for the most part, so, it is going to be something kind of bubblegummy sweet, and you don't want to go too crazy with the sprays. Of course, this is going to be a compliment-getting fragrance, just like the original Eros EDT is, which was then starting to be hindered by the lack of performance and, the reformulations and stuff. This will be a really good compliment getter because it does have that strength, and it also, like I just mentioned a second ago, has that youthful bubblegum smelling type of thing going on. The original Eros, you guys have enough experience with it, I'm sure, that you know that, yeah, that's a fragrance that garners compliments. There's going to be no difference here. The fact that this one does last a long time and does, fix the performance issues of the reformulated EDT means that it's going to get you noticed. And again, the majority of people who smell this on you are going to think it smells good. But at the same time, do remember that this is still Eros, a fragrance that's very popular, a ton of people wear. So someone may potentially smell it on you and think, oh, that smells good, but I've smelled it before, and therefore they may not bring it up to you. So that's where something like Eros Flame could maybe mitigate that problem, or just, other new fragrances in general. Keep in mind, this flanker, while it is a new release, still goes back to the original Eros DNA, which has been out for a while. Quality comes across about the same as the original Eros. For on discounters, about $50 is what you can get the original Eros for. Quality's pretty good. Of course, this one, being a new scent, isn't on discounters yet. You have to pay retail for it, probably around $100 or so. At that price, it's a little questionable in terms of quality for me. I'm not saying it's a bad quality scent or it's super synthetic, but I am saying I mean, other designers in the $50 range I would find would maybe have better quality. And I'm not just saying other brands, but even from Versace. Versace Pour Homme, even Versace Dylan Blue. Those have really good quality, and they're around the same price as Eros on discounters. This one will make its way to discounters soon, I would imagine, and then hopefully at that point it'll be around the $50 range like the others, and you can pick it up there. And that leads me to discuss, is this one worth just rushing out and buying right now? It's really hard for me to say to do that when you can wait a couple months, hopefully, and get it on discounters. That's just kind of my take on it. I buy these at retail to share my thoughts with you, just because that's what I do here, having a YouTube channel about this type of thing. But for most of you, I would say save your money, maybe put it away, and then you can get this and another fragrance for the same price of buying this at retail once this one hits discounted. You can get two for the price of one, is a way to think about it, instead of spending all your money to get this one on retail right now. That's just how I would look at it. If you're a super diehard Eros fan and you want a really strong performing one like right now for fall, then I could see maybe it's not, a bad idea to go get it now. But I would say if you have the original and you have Flame, those can probably get you by until this one is on discounters. And if you have the original and it's not the best performing, spray on a few extra sprays. It'll still be cheaper in the long run than getting this one at retail. So my final thoughts on the new Eros EDP 2020, I like it. I'm impressed. I think this is a solid flanker release, a solid EDP release. This is probably going to take the place of Versace Eros EDT in all my videos going forward, or at least once it hits discounters and I can, recommend it to you guys at that price. If there's ever a time where I'm going to want to feature Versace Eros, it'll probably be the EDP version, just because it does fix that performance issue that has been made aware of so many times over in the community. So let me know your thoughts on the new Eros EDP. If you've gotten your nose on it, what do you think? If you haven't tried it yet, is this something you're going to want to try? Let me know down below. I will also link both the original Eros and Eros Flame and maybe a few other Versace fragrances down in the description too. Fragrance discounters if you want to check out any of those. Of course, I don't have any link to a discounter for this one yet, so you'll have to go to Macy's or Sephora or whatever retailer carries them if you want to get this one. So thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow morning with another one. Take care.